Hey guys, I am so glad you stopped by. It's been a while, right? But it is Wednesday and we're gonna cook some supper. I really am glad you guys stopped by. I hope you were checking out some of my other videos where I took so much needed time to not so much rest, but just kind of get reorganized, regrouped, and we had just so many orders going out all of a sudden with the bakery. And being a one-man show sometimes, not with the bakery, I mean, it's me and Chris with the bakery, but you know, with this, working, 30 plus hours at the pizza shop still on the weekends, and then the bakery when it starts to get a little busy, sometimes something's got to give, but that's all right. We're here, we're back, let's enjoy the moment, right? So I thought we would do what we were actually going to do last week, and that was it's going to be a steak Alfredo. A really easy, very straightforward meal that I think is going to be very filling. I've never had it, so I don't know. But I will tell you, there are going to be some options that you can do with this, for sure. And I know this based on, I was going to do it once already. But anyhow, it's got a good from scratch Alfredo sauce. It's got ribeye steak. You can't go wrong with a ribeye. You can also use the sirloin, New York strip, pot roast, depending on your budget and what you can do. I just happened to find some sirloin or some ribeye on sale, and was able to snatch it up while it was. It was reduced for quick sale, manager special, yellow tag, lower price, because I know we can't afford steak at the moment. That's just a little out of our Rockefeller price range, so to speak. But anyhow, I think it's going to be a meal that we enjoy. So if you are new to our channel and this is your first video, welcome. I hope you get something out of this video. Maybe check out some of the other videos. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you are returning or one of our new subscribers, welcome back and thank you. I appreciate it wholeheartedly. I never take you guys for granted, hands down. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And comments always welcome. I respond to all of them, good, bad, and different. The only thing I ask is you be polite. Just think before you type, right? You can disagree with me or anybody else in the comments for that matter on any of the videos. Just be polite, right? That's what I think. But anyhow, I am going to give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. We're also going to do grams and milliliters where applicable. That way, no matter where you're at in the world, you can play along. So why don't we head on down here to the counter and we will get started on what I think is going to be an absolutely amazing dish. Hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, we are down here at the counter. So things we need to do to get started. I went ahead and did some pre-prepping. Now I have 400 grams of, 650 grams of, like I said, ribeye steak right there, and we've got it cubed up. So you have options, right? You can use any steak that you prefer. Or, like I said, I was going to do this a week or so ago for you guys before things got a little nuts. And I had cut up a pot roast, looked just like this, same 1.5 pounds. By the time it was cut, and that's pre-cut or post-cut weight, right? That's this in the pan right now is 1.5 pounds. So it started out at like 2 pounds and change. But you use as much or as little as you like, for sure. And it turned out very well. The pot roast did. I ended up searing it and putting it over rice, I think, with some green peppers and onions. And it was quite delicious, but I had to use it up so it didn't go bad. And then we're here. So I know pot roast will work if it's cubed up, or a steak of your choice. I would defat it a little bit. You want to leave the marbling, for sure, but leave the fat. Now I've got some water boiling right here, so we can go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and get our noodles in there real quick, since I remember what I did with them. There they are. And I've got, so here's a question for you. You can leave an answer down in the comments. Almost every recipe I've seen as of late when it comes to noodles does not call for an even pound. Now I don't know about where you live, but here in the US, when we're not dropping the box of noodles, they come in 1 pound, 2 pound increments, not an off amount. And this recipe, like some others, calls for 12 ounces. I find that very odd. But I am going to go with 1 pound, 454 grams. If you want to go with 12 ounces, it's right around 350 grams. So we're gonna go ahead, I've got my water boiling. I'm gonna go ahead and get that in there. Now, another question. That's kind of an odd question. Maybe not an odd question, but are you one to break your noodles in half? My mom was like that. She would break noodles in half in order to make them look like they were going to go further, or just so she didn't have to hear us slurping them to eat them. But do you cut your noodles or break your noodles in half when you put them in the pot, or are you one to let it go? And then with those noodles, I am going to throw some salt in there because we're already boiling. Now, I'm just going to cook those till they're al dente. And if you don't know what al dente is, that means they're just barely, I don't want to say barely soft, but almost done. They still have a little bite to them. When you bite into them, they're not mush. They're not quite done. So, because we're going to cook them with the rest of the stuff. Anyhow, we've got that in there. We're going to let those cook for the recommended 7 minutes on the timer. Now, while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my cast iron on, right? Because I need to get it warming up. If you're using just a large skillet, a regular skillet, you probably don't have to heat it up, but I would recommend it. And to that skillet, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and it's a virgin olive oil. Everyday cooking olive oil. Did you know that there's 2 different kinds of olive oil? There is a like a pure extra virgin olive oil that's like a special occasion olive oil, and then there's an everyday olive oil. But either way it goes, pick a good one. I have learned that price does kind of judge some oils, but here's the brand I use. I've been using it forever. I mean, and if you see, it says for every day right there. And they have this is a global blend, which means that the olives come from 2 or 3 different places, and then the more expensive blends that aren't a global blend come from one location, and that's a really good olive oil, but you're also going to pay a lot of money for it. But anyhow, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, got that in there heating up. Meanwhile, I'm going to take my meat, and we are going to put about a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper on this, just like such. And we're going to let that sit. Well, I'm going to mix it up here in a second. We're going to let this sit with the salt and pepper on it for while this heats up. And what that does is the salt is going to help to start tenderizing the meat a little bit. And even just this few minutes will help a great deal. So once we get the oil heated up, we will get moving on. All right, so our noodles are done, cooked to where we want them. Now I am going to take a cup and I'm going to pull out about a cup worth of that sauce, or in this case, 1 1/4 cups of the sauce, of the water, the pasta water, before I drain these. That way, it's going to serve a couple purposes. So when we go to make our parmesan or our Alfredo sauce, it may thicken up on us because it's not going to stop even after we turn it off. It's not going to stop thickening up, so to speak. So we want to make sure that we have something to kind of add to it, but we're still going to add a little to it anyhow. Why? Because this water, see how it's not clear? It's not clear because it's packed full of starch. And what starch does in this case, much like when you use cornstarch, it will help it cling to the noodles. It helps the sauce cling to the noodles. You can do that with spaghetti sauce too, and that way your sauce is going to stick to those noodles when you spin it up and eat it. But we got our noodles drained, right? And I don't know if you guys do this. I don't know how you guys drain your noodles, but I just leave it in the strainer once I strain it and I put the lid on it. My strainer actually fits into my pot, which is awesome. So we got noodles are done. Now they're just waiting on us, so to speak. Our oil is heated. Yeah, I can't hold my hand above it for more than 5 seconds. I can see a little steam whispering off of it, and it's dancing. Or if you want, you can stick a toothpick down in there or a skewer, as long as it's not coated, and it will bubble, right? Any piece of food grade wood, it should bubble around it. That tells you that your oil is hot enough. So now we're going to take our meat and we're gonna go ahead and get it cooking. And you just want to make sure that you don't crowd your pan. That's probably the most important part. Crowding does a couple things. Neither of them good. It will allow a buildup of moisture in your pan, and then you won't get a good sear on your meat. And you want that. I mean, if you don't want that flavor, you're okay. But and it doesn't always cook evenly. But we're going to go ahead and get this meat cooked until it's no longer pink on the inside, or however you like it, medium well, to your liking. But we're going to get it at least seared on the outside. Okay, so we are seared and cooked. So now we're just going to go ahead and take our steak out of here. And now that we got our steak out of there, we're going to go ahead and we are going to add 4 tablespoons, 54 grams. Let me blend it real quick. Yep, 56 grams. 4 tablespoons, 56 grams of butter. I'm using unsalted butter, but you can use whichever butter you like, I suppose. It really will depend on your preference. I am not a big fan of salt other than to add flavoring. And we put it in with the steak, and then we're going to test again for salt taste near the end. But I'm using unsalted butter, and we're going to get that melted, and then we are going to add in 3 cloves of minced garlic. Now it's about 12 grams worth. These are like big cloves, so I mean as much or as little as you would like. I think would be the thought of the day. But we're going to let this cook for about 30 seconds to a minute in the butter, and we're going to infuse that flavor, but we don't want to not stop moving it, or it will burn and turn bitter. That is the only downside to garlic. It can make or break a dish for sure. So like right now we are browned. I can smell it. I know we are good. Didn't even take 30 seconds because this pan is still really hot. So now we are going to take 1 cup, 240 milliliter of heavy whipping cream, and we're going to put that in, right? Give that a good stir, get it deglazed a little off the bottom of the pan. Now I did not clean this pan off at all, so it's got all those juices from the steak still there in it. So we got that, and then you got all those bits on the bottom. Oh, it's going to taste so good. It's adding just tons of flavor to this cream right now. And then I have got a half a cup, 56 grams of shredded Parmesan. And you use your favorite Parmesan, whichever you like, whether it be a block or store-bought already shredded, whatever you like. Now we're just going to cook this until it thickens a little bit. Okay, we are starting to thicken, so I have got 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of granulated garlic. I have got a half a teaspoon, almost 2 grams worth of Italian seasoning, and a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of crushed red pepper, bird seed, hot pepper seed, whatever it is that you call it in your neck of the woods. And we're going to get that in there, and then that way we can get it going. And then I'm also going to add, I have got 1 cup, 170 grams of roasted red pepper. Now these are the store-bought jarred red pepper. If you want to use a fresh pepper and roast it, I would recommend after you cut it up, you cook it with the steak. That way it gets softened, it gets that flavor in there. But I just went ahead and got store-bought peppers. Matter of fact, I can show it to you. Oh, they're made by Mazzetti. I'm sure there's other companies, but it's just roasted red pepper cut up, and they're in oil. If you buy them pre-done like I did, you want to drain the oil off of them. I measure it out, and then I drain what oil's on them off, and that's what I run with. Okay, so we're thickened up, got all that going. So the last 2 things we need to do, we need to put our steak back in here, because that's important. And any juices that were in this container, you'll want to put in. like that. We'll get it coated. And then I am going to go ahead and put our noodles in. Now, let me ask you this about your noodles. Do you put olive oil on your noodles when they sit like this to keep them from sticking together? Or are you one to, should put that in a bowl, just let it go and then break them apart? I know there are a lot of people out there that will tell you that using noodles or oil on noodles is a bad thing. I will disagree with that. And it really just, in my case, it depends on what I'm doing with it. Now see, I think we got it a little too thick here, so I'm going to take some of my pasta water. I'm going to add that in here. Maybe not the whole thing, but you know, maybe half of that. And then that way, this can cook for just a couple more minutes. Kind of let everything get to know each other. And when I come back, we will have all this cleaned up. I will have this probably in a bowl, and we can try some. Okay, so got everything cleaned up. That gave that time to let everything get to know each other a little better, so to speak, and to cool down. That's kind of important. I know I don't remember anybody ever saying that in any video show. I don't remember my mom saying that or anything. But it's important you let it sit for a minute and rest. It does two things. A, lets everything calm down and relax. Gives it better flavor. And the most important part, you don't melt your face off trying to eat it. Although I know people that eat their food like that, you know, they'll put it in the microwave, supposed to be for 2 minutes, they'll put it in there for 10 minutes and then eat it while it's scorching. I don't know how you taste anything. Even like chicken from a restaurant, if it comes out of the oven, all you're tasting's hot. So, but anyhow, let's go ahead and get some of this dished up into a bowl. Get a little bit of the peppers and the steak there. This really is a simple, you know, easy to make. I mean, really, this took less than 30 minutes. And we had a good meal. The only thing I think I would add to this, and this is just me, and this is the recipe that I was given. It was a Facebook recipe my friend Heather had sent me. I don't remember now where it came from, but I'll either put it here or it'll be down in the description. I always like to give credit where credit is due. But I think if I were to make this again, which I'm sure I will because it looks and smells amazing. My kitchen smells fantastic at the moment. But I would add mushrooms of some sort. Portobello, shiitake, yeah, more than likely portobello, or just button mushrooms, you know, whatever. Basically, whatever they have on sale at the store or marked down as manager special. I'm all about manager specials. Manager specials are great if you, especially if they have a lot of it. Buy it up, you can can it, you can freeze it. There's 1,001 things you can do with manager special stuff, especially if it's meats or mushrooms, or vegetables in general for that matter. But anyhow, let's give this a try and see where we are at. We'll twist some of the noodles up there, grab a piece of that steak, and give her a shot and see how it goes. Sorry, my mouth is full, but yes, indeed. Definitely. This is really, really good. I would put the mushrooms in there, double the peppers, but the flavor is out of this world. Now, sorry. Sometimes, as some of you probably don't know, I have dentures. And even though I've had them for a while now, it's still a learning process. They don't always want to cooperate. Fact of life. But, oh, tasty, so tasty. Definitely add mushrooms to this. I would add mushrooms to this, and probably double the peppers. I would go with 2 cups of peppers, or 1 large pepper if you're using fresh. Other than that, that's a done deal. I'm sold. Yeah. Something I was thinking about while I was cooking, if you have the opportunity to cut your steak up and cube it before like you did and you have enough time, I would salt it early. Like as soon if you're cutting it up, say it's whenever you're getting it done in the morning. So like I cut mine up this morning, when I was doing a little bit of food prep for a few days, and if I'd have thought about it then, I'd have put salt on it then. And that'll just make that meat that much more tender. It's tender now, don't get me wrong, but I was thinking, how could we improve on that? And if we salt it even earlier and let it sit in the fridge with that salt on it, it'll help break down those muscles and even more. And you'll have an even better tenderization of that meat. But anyhow, give this a try. Let me know if you do, or let me know if you do something similar at your house. That would be awesome. Tomorrow for dessert, I have no idea because I have like 5 things I want to try and make. And I want to bring you along for all 5 of them, so I just don't know which one we're going to do first. But we are definitely going to do our best, by we I mean me, to get back on track. I think we're going to be kind of sailing now. I could be wrong. Things always change, but that's the problem with being a dad, father, husband, boss, business owner. There's a lot, and things come up, right? Unfortunately, it does hurt me in the algorithm sometimes, but I don't do this for the algorithm. I do this for you guys, for me, and I enjoy doing it. But anyhow, till tomorrow for dessert, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and love them very much. They may need to hear it, and even if they don't, it's going to make them smile either way, right? They're going to grin ear to ear. They're going to feel good on the inside, and if you make them some of this steak Alfredo, they are definitely going to be grinning ear to ear. It's going to lead to an evening of conversation, and there is definitely enough there. You can bring the neighbors over, probably invite another old friend you haven't talked to in a while, a guy walking down the street with his dog, family of 3 walking down the street, pack some up for the mailman so he can have it when he gets home. Yeah, the possibilities are just truly endless of how many people you could feed with this and the people that you could rekindle things with. So, that being said, until tomorrow for dessert, I love you, and I will see you then. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.